Okay. Mum, do you want to be checking Facebook as well? Okay.
Ooh.
Well, welcome everybody to She's of Love. Today we have another very exciting episode with a new guest, which is Jenna. So a little introduction to for our audience to you is you you're a business coach. You help
Mhm.
um, women with their intuition. And is it Shadow Codes that you're the founder of?
Yes, shadow
Yes,
codes.
Shadow Codes. So you have a lot going on, and I feel like you're pretty incredible woman. So we're very excited to talk to you today. We also have your TikTok in the description for people to check out. But I'm going to go ahead and ask the big question to get us
Mhm.
rolling into today's episode, which is what is your awakening story?
Mm. When you asked me that before we came online, I kind of just sat with it to see where, like, the deepest, like, where I was cracked open the most in my 38 years. So I feel for me, if I really think about when someone says you're awakening, to me, I interpret that of when I first felt spirit, like fully in my heart space. And so it would have actually only been, if I be really honest with myself, probably going back maybe 4 years ago. And I've had a very chaotic, very chaotic life. And I think I was coming towards the separation of with my husband, and I was at a point in my life where I was craving such a deep freedom from the repression that I had been feeling my whole life, just fully repressed, fully in a box, and I couldn't see past it. I couldn't see past it. So I just said, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but fuck
Yes,
off
we swear.
to
We
We
swear.
swear.
everything. I was just like, fuck everything,
Yeah.
every little thing. And I just went into what I thought was freedom was more chaos.
Mm.
And I got caught up in relationships with men and just deep, ugly patterns. And I remember being on the shower floor. My husband had moved out. It was probably 8 months into it. And I was just rocking back and forward on the shower floor. And that's when I started to get flashes, like really quick flashes. And then I started to like feel like presence around me. And I've always been very intuitive. I mean, most of us are that end up in this work. But it's like they had found me in my vulnerability. My guard was down and they were able to come through. And that's when I started to realize it was so fast, like I wasn't alone, and that I had like my ancestors, my guides, and that's where I started to, I think, lean into it because I didn't have any other choice. I had nothing else. I didn't have my family around me. I was an alcoholic at the time. I was, addicted to sex. I was so vulnerable that I didn't have anything else to really cling on to. And so when I started to feel this come through, I just leant into it. I just, what the fuck else am I gonna do? And I just leant in, and my life just started to really go up and down as you do in the awakenings. But I feel that was really the point for me where I actually started to question myself, question why am I doing what I'm doing? Why do I do this to people? Why do I do this to myself? And I went through the whole like, what is this world? Like, the whole thing you go through. And then me and my partner got back together. A year later, I quit my job and I started off as like, I didn't mean to become a psychic medium. It wasn't my intention, but I feel that awakening with me, the way it happened, because my abilities just they just came. It wasn't like it's like I had been like asleep. I hadn't been listening because I was so in my chaos. Um, and I'm a graphic designer, or I was a graphic designer, and I was designing some tarot cards, not because I really knew what they are, but my mum used them. And I thought, oh, I need somewhere to share this. So I thought I will, I don't know, start a TikTok account. Then I got like a few hundred people. I went live and I just started like doing tarot card readings, but I didn't know what they were. So I just showed people like, oh, you got this card. What does that mean? Who knows what this means? But then I started to realize like I was quite intuitive. And then people started asking me for readings. And then I started to notice that I could tell the difference between speaking to spirit guides and speaking to what seemed to be a person because they had a personality and just seemed very connected to the person I was reading. And that's when the mediumship came in. And then it just went from there. And now I am like a business coach. Like that's actually the majority of what I do because I enjoy leadership. So that's sort of my awakening. Kind of once it happened, it just everything just went and I just trusted and followed. Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So TikTok was a big part of your story then, because
Y-
you going live on TikTok was like what was bringing it out. You were meeting people
Yes.
who were like wanting that from you.
Mm. I actually just recently at the start of the year lost my TikTok account. So I had like a quite a
No.
large following. Yeah, it was very interesting because it was January is one of my highest like months like for sales in my business and I lost it and I actually feel it was probably spirit telling me it's time for me to move from that. But I did. I found myself through TikTok and I found mediumship and mediumship was actually more of what my business has been built on. That's where I built my authority because this deep trust that I have for myself, this like anchored trust, I just say it because if I speak bluntly, I don't care if people think I'm wrong. So I just say it, and if it's wrong, then it's wrong. But what I do is I'm like, give it to me again because I didn't get it or I didn't understand it. And that's just where it came, where it built from. And then I found that I just started to build these like people that deeply resonated with me and I resonated with them. And it's just been growing and moving, and it's helped me find my purpose through my own healing. The more that I heal, the more I want to help women like me. Um, and so it's just been a crazy 2 years. It's been an insane 2 years. But yes, TikTok is definitely where I started. Um, and that's where I built a lot of my authority. Mm.
Where
Wow.
that was like your practice playground to build your self-confidence as well.
Mm.
Yeah, and also my connection with people. Um I'm still working through that, but I've always struggled being around people or being in connection with people. So it's been like a big heart space opening for me to allow people in and then also meeting all my like soul sisters through TikTok like Jen and another one of our soul sisters as well. It's helped me open myself up to people as well, not just me helping people. They help me as well through, I suppose, being seen, really, isn't it? Like what it is, like being seen by people. Mm,
Yeah, and when you're seen by people who get you and who
mm,
understand, you know,
mm,
uniquely understand your background and where you've, why you've come to where you are and stuff like that. Because I know Jen would really get it because we know Jen
mm,
really well. So I can really understand the connection that you have with her. And when you have that, when you meet your people, your
mm,
tribe, it feels different. It feels deeper. It feels like you're at home, you're with your people.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely. Like I feel that on such a deep soul level, and it does feel like home. Um, there's also a lot of healing and a lot of learning, like within my friendship groups as well, and me learning to be open, being open to trust people, to like trust that female connection, even when um even when you're feeling triggered, it's like you have to trust in that, lean in instead of leaning out.
Mm.
And Jen and my soul sister Lauren have, like, it's honestly been one of the biggest things. Like, the more work that I did, the more I noticed that the people I'm calling in are so deeply aligned with me and where I am right now in my life. Mm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
and I love,
amazing.
oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
Julia. You go.
I was just gonna say, I loved something that you said when you were kind of at your lowest point. Um, you chose the, I guess, the step that led you to, where you are now because you had no other option other than to just try
Mm,
something positive. And I
mm,
think a lot of people can relate to that, being in a place where you're at rock bottom and even though hope is lost or, you know, you are in the pits of hell pretty much,
mm,
if something comes along and you're at a point where it's like, well, look where I am now, may as well just try and give it a shot. I think like I don't know, I've been in situations like that before and I feel like so many people can relate to that. Um, because it really is important to just choose something positive, even if it's something seemingly insignificant, or like, tiny.
mm,
And just like how big of a ripple that can create and it builds to more and more. And it's like slow. Everyone wants kind of a quick fix in nowadays. Like this is the quickest way to, solve all your problems. But
mm,
what I've kind of learned recently is it takes a long time to get to heal or to, you know, get to where you want to be. And it really is those small, insignificant steps in a positive direction that create massive change. And it's just like a lot of tiny little things. So I don't know, I just found that that was really powerful that you spoke that because yeah, it's just it's a tiny little decision and it just leads to um places you could never really imagine.
That's right.
oh, 100%. Oh, 100%. Um, I feel as I sort of as I move into like working with shadow codes, which is what I'm launching soon, I see people, and I'm just going to speak it, is shadow codes was made for the healer. And the reason why I feel so deeply about bringing this out is because I am a business coach. A lot of our healers in the collective have done the little work, the little things, right? What we're speaking into now. And it is so important. It's like the small little things, because you have to build your self-worth really. In order to do the deeper work, you actually have to have, for my truth, is that a sense of inner self-worth to hear what you need to hear to now move a little bit faster and a little bit deeper.
Yes.
And that's why Shadow Codes is actually really made for the generational cycle breakers that have this vision to potentially become healers, or they're healers that have hit a cap, and it's normally because it's now time to go deeper and more layered than the little. But the little things mean like changing the music you listen to. Now
Yes.
I listen to whatever I want, right? But at the start, music was like I had a
Mm.
playlist and I didn't go from that because I grew up on the street, so it was like rap, R&B, degrading music. Like now I can hear that and be like, oh, I love that music, and I can find the power in the words now. But back then, it actually triggered my like sexual trauma, and I fell
Mm.
into that archetype. So yeah, you're
Because it was
100%
comfortable for
right.
you. Because
Yeah.
that, I mean, that's such an important point, Jenna, that you're bringing up here. Like people go, music, like, well, that's not a big deal, but it actually, music is a vibration, and
Mm,
you are drawn to the vibration. I mean, we all are drawn to the vibration of what feels comfortable to our nervous system. And so
mm,
if you grew up on the streets and you have trauma through those experiences and that music is speaking to that trauma, of course you're going to feel comfortable with that.
yes.
And then when you get to a point in your life where you start to become self-aware and you get that self-worth that you're talking about, and you start wanting more for yourself, you want to move from that stuck position, you
Mm,
start looking at your life and you start looking at the things around you and what you're attracted to, and you
mm.
go, why is it that I love rap music? Why is it that I feel so good about it when it
I live
is
there.
yeah. Yeah, when it is so derogatory and it is like actually keeping me in a
Mm,
certain
mm.
place, because that's not me anymore.
Yep.
I'm not the girl on the streets anymore. I'm not that girl anymore. Yes, I was, that was my past, but I'm choosing different for myself now. I'm at a
Mm,
point in my life where I can see where I've come from and I can see where I want to go. And so you
mm.
start choosing better for yourself, or you start choosing different for yourself, something that's more
Yes.
aligned with where you actually want to end up. And I think
Mm,
when you come to that point in your life, that's it. Like you're talking about being there for the healers, being there for the people who have hit a wall or a cap on their success.
mm.
Breaking out of that can feel extremely hard and scary.
Yes.
So having
100%.
Yeah, so having somebody there, like a mentor to hold your hand, someone who
Mm,
can help you make your decisions and figure out what it is that you want for yourself moving forward, is like so
mm.
beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful to me.
Mm. I love what you're speaking into. It's very much I love depth. So I'm always like asking why? And yeah, so I have my business container that I run is they're all healers actually. Or they're healers, or a lot of the women that are attracted to me tend to have a very similar purpose to me, which is like woman empowerment. And I like to sit there because I'm really big on embodied work. So I just that's my experience is being a healer that empowers women. So I why would I go work somewhere else? Like that's my embodiment piece. Um, but I feel a lot of healers, they have very big money wounds. And I've had to go through a lot of, we can call them ego deaths or ego evolutions, whatever feels safest for people. But basically, as someone who builds a lot of authority fast, I've had to go through a lot of ego deaths. Like I've had to because my knowings, like I know this, and then I have to go through a lived experience to know something else. And so for a long time, even like so January, I had a 50K month, right? That's the biggest month I've ever had in my business ever. And it's been fast. I only switched into being a business coach last year, at the start of last year, around March. And so things have moved quite fast for me. But when money comes in that way, there's going to be a lot of lessons that you need to learn. And this is why we're seeing so many, and I'm really fucking passionate about this, performing healers online that are switching into business coaching because they hit a couple of 10K months and their money wounding is taking over and they're losing their anchoring into what is important. But this is where I come in and say to these people is that money is not the most important thing, but it's also not important. So you have to find a balance or you're just going to be stuck. So you can't sit there and say, well, money's not important, service is more important. Yes, I fully hear you say that, but there has to be a middle because if you don't know your money, you don't know business and you're going to stay small. So where can we start to more in a healthy way blend spirituality with more of the business money side to find a balance? And this is where I want to teach from a place with making money with meaning, it's like making money with meaning. So, because the thing is, we know that money equals impact and impact equals money, but impact is not always good. So, if you've got a bad money mindset and your values are just all over the place, the impact that you're going to be having is quite dangerous on the community because you're
Yeah.
unintegrated and unembodied. And so, a lot
High
of the
five to
work that
that,
I do,
sister. High five
Yeah,
to
you
that.
see that so much, especially, I mean, everywhere, but especially in the spiritual community,
Yes.
100%.
because we perform.
Yeah.
Because the reality is this is where shadow codes comes in. It's cool, you've done the work that your clients are now doing, but let's go deeper because you said you wanted to be a leader. So in order to be a leader, you have to lead yourself first.
Yes.
You have to understand that like it comes from, and this is what I deal a lot with when a lot of women come into my space, they don't see themselves yet. And so a lot of my work that I do with the healers that come in is actually because I'm really big on deeply understanding your clientele, but the way that you do that is through understanding your past self. And if you cannot look
Mhm.
back at the past versions of you and say she's a bad bitch, then you are always going to be disconnected with your soul client because you
Yeah,
can
how
never
are you
speak
going to
to their
treat
power.
them? Yeah, when
You
you,
can't see their
yeah.
power.
That's right. High
Mm.
five to that,
Damn.
sister.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's so,
Mm.
so true. And I was actually gonna, something that was coming up for me when you were speaking was, so many people where that like I see this behavior a lot and this habit a lot where, especially online, it's like, right, we've got to make the content for others, like what do other people want to see, what does everybody else want, so I can give them that and that grows me, but and grows my business and gets me more money, or what reaches a wider audience. What's trending, let's hit the trends. Like, it's always what other people, what social media wants. But and just business in general, not even social media, but always. Um, but shifting that focus to what do I want to create instead.
Yes.
And I think that goes hand in hand with what you just said, Jenna, about
Mm.
loving your past self. Because your audience is, or your clientele, your niche market is you. You're the one creating for, you know, your business is something that's special to you, most likely. So
Mm.
your audience is you. So create what you want. Like, that's like number one, I think, a lot of
Mm.
the time. And it's forgotten so often, um, to a point where, like, I think that's why spaces like social media are so disconnected, because it's like, what's going to get me the biggest hits, the most views, and then you get these like crazy, um like thumbnail and like all these
Clickbait.
habits, the clickbait and attention retention, like trying to get as much retention as you want. And so you get these like YouTubers going like, hey guys, what's going on, and screaming and yelling and whatever. And it's just like so much. much. I even TikTok and Instagram, my reels and stuff, sometimes I'm like, right, I need to get off. This is crazy. Because it just
Mm,
builds and builds to a point of like almost you just can't we can't keep creating for everybody else. We got to put the mirror in front of us and look at what we need. And I think that's the way that we heal as well, because we got to
And
heal what's in
put
ourselves.
the focus from what, you know, the thing that you're saying, Juliet, that triggers in me is the idea that views and doing the clickbait and all of that is to people get scared that if they don't grow their channel, if they're not in the race for
Mm,
attention, which really is what social media has become as a creator. It's like a race for attention. Um,
mm,
that that to me comes from a fear of being irrelevant,
mm,
and so you lose that
mm,
intention of going out there to give the world a gift of yourself. So you drop that whole idea of putting yourself into your channel or putting yourself into your work. And then you start, because you're afraid of being irrelevant, you start to look at, well, how can I become more popular? And so the intention becomes about numbers and
mm.
metrics, and
Yeah.
you lose that sense of meaning from your content, from what you're trying to put out there. And I think what you're saying, Jenna, is so important, because the balance of thinking about money and the self and the worth and all of that
Yeah.
comes out in your content. It comes out in what you're focusing on in your content. And I
mhm.
think for us, for Juliet and I, it's been important because we've built quite a large following on Facebook. It's been important to give a place of rest to people. And we
Mm,
get the feedback all the time, like, they they come into our group and their nervous system is not getting bombarded, and because social media is so much of that.
mm,
So it was important to us for people to come to our group and feel peace
mm. Oh, I
and
like that.
feel that something they're going to, like, every Friday morning we get come on and have these conversations with beautiful people like you, to give insight to
Mm,
the things
Yeah.
that we're feeling and to the things that are going on in the world at the moment. And if it
Mm,
resonates, great, hang around and listen. If it doesn't, there's no obligation to hear what we have to say. But
mm,
bringing that part of yourself into your content, into your business, because if you're not on social media, it's in your business, in the real world, bringing yourself into that recipe for success, your own personal recipe, is so important. If you've if your recipe is missing you, what are you selling?
mm,
What are you doing? What's the value that you're bringing? And I think it comes back down to what you said, Jenna, about self-worth, is that if you don't feel like have any worth to give to your clients, then your self is going to be missing from that recipe. So
mhm.
any self-work that you do, any kind of mirror that you place in front of yourself to look at yourself and to grow your self-worth is going to grow your business. It's like an
Oh,
automatic,
100%.
yeah, it's like automatic, you know, um, cheat code in the system kind of thing. Yeah.
It really is. And I will be so deeply like vulnerable and say, like, my journey into even where I am, excuse me, right now, I did move through this whole, you've got to make money, blah, 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 blah. I was in it deep. And if you cannot tell already, I deeply trust myself. So when I know something, it's like I will speak it with my chest. This is my truth, and I'm going to speak my truth. Therefore, my fall downs and my healing's very open. It's like people are gonna witness it. And I even named my high ticket container Rich Bitch. I went through this bold, boom, wow, you gotta fucking turn up. You want it, you got it, like blah 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 blah. And then I just have come on the back of firing my coaches. I just said, I'm like, I can't do this because I got very caught up in the whole 5D bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And why,
Mm-hmm.
what's happened for me is, I don't know if you guys know much about human design, but
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a manifester. So I've moved through life not trying to be seen, but trying to not be seen. And then that creates that like repression. So I've always like I own that I'm powerful and I know this, but I've struggled to know what my power is. Like, what is my power? Who am I? So what would happen is I would go online and see these women living there in their embodiment. Their business is booming, and I'm like, that. So off Jenna goes, and her brand turns into that, and I'm speaking like these like bad bitch, blah 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 blah. And I finally got into a point where it's like again this awakening, which I felt comes with a lot of shame because you've got to own it. You've got to own your actions. You've got to own how you're being a total dick. And you've
Yes.
got to sit in that shame and be like, oh, maybe, maybe a little bit of an ego. So I had to really like basically come back into myself, do the inner work, doing the ownership, do the compassion, do the love, all the things. Then I'm coming back out. And again, I saw someone online where I was like, oh, I wonder if she's a manifester. Oh, I wonder if she's an INFJ like me. And I've unfollowed her straight away. I was like, I can't, not anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna be me. And so for the first time, to be honest, in my business, I'm finally like speaking my truth, like so deeply. And I have women every single day that message me and tell me how much my content triggers them. I've had people unfollow me and then refollow me and just have this urge to reach out and say, like, I just want you to know that I unfollowed you, but I've refollowed you. I find your content very jarring and very triggering. And it's only because now I've gone from using this power that I have to be attacky to be more just informative, informative of my embodiment and informative of what I know that I've been through and I've had to own the shame and stuff around, and then I share that. Um, like I read a post the other day where I actually speak to, because I'm a business coach, about how a lot of women healers, coaches jump into other healers and coaches' DMs and say, hey, quick question. Let's unpack that. Why do you do that? Why are you bringing your leaky energy into this woman's DMs, asking her a quick question? You know it's not a quick question, and she hits you with a paywall, and all of a sudden she's a bitch. Let's talk
Mm.
about how you're giving your power away there. So I only know that because I used to be that woman and I didn't understand, but it's because I was trying to access someone else's fire for free. So I love to
Yes.
speak into the little things like that that maybe people don't talk about. That's probably only the healers that are ready to do that next level work can. That's where you got to have the self-worth because you got to be like, well, that quick question, but no,
Mm.
let's let's feel into that because that's where the growth is. I feel deeply.
Yeah.
So tell us then, if somebody comes in and says quick question, how do you deal with that?
I would first hear what they have to say, and depending on what it is, I would then gauge whether they are trying to access my power for free or they're trying to access my power for free. Because the thing is, when you jump into someone's DMs and it's not asking them about their service, then you're accessing their power for free. And if you're not in a place where you can see that, then you've still got self work, like just inner work to do in that area. Because the reality is, this is where money comes in. You have money wounding. and you haven't been able to prioritize your own self-investment as a top priority to your business growth and your healing growth. So you go around jumping into people's freebies, searching TikTok online, trying to hustle and do it yourself, and the only way you can get into this woman's energy is through, hey, quick question.
Mm.
You should be asking her about her services. You should not be going in and asking her about a question that people pay for inside of her container. And I'll be very happy to say that to women, because the women that come towards me are business owners. And if they want to be treated like a leader, that is how I will treat them with love, but with honesty as well. Because
Yeah.
I don't play pretend. I don't like it. It eats at my guts when when I do that. So with love, I just say, hey, so that sort of information or that sort of guidance is actually inside this container. Is that something that you're interested to talk more into? And they're like, ah, I'm like, see, yeah. Even women that are in my low touch containers that will message me about something that's in my high touch containers, I let them know that you're now starting to talk to me. So I have a membership called the Social Rebel, and that's where women come in and I teach them how to sell authentically through social media. So it works really well for healers that have a business, but they probably have that thing that we have when we first start about like this is my offer and blah blah blah. So I teach them how to do it from an embodied place. If they jump into my DMs or even in a live session, they ask me about launching, I will let them know that is a launching question. So now we're going into a different area. This container specializes in this. So it's my job to hold my boundaries.
Mm.
It's my job because if I'm helping healers step into leadership and I have shitty boundaries, then how are they ever going to see a reflection? How are they ever going to see it? And so I hold those boundaries. I hold that level. I think it's important that we understand that just because people come in even into your paid containers, that they now get to drop they get to drop. No, you have to hold. Just because they've paid you, it doesn't mean you need to put up with their immaturity. They
Mm.
came in here for work, so hold the level with love.
Yeah.
Hold it. How else are they going to learn? But
Oh,
that
Jenna,
supposes
this,
the difference between working with healers and business people to working with like people at the start of their healing journey, right?
Mm.
Mm,
this is such good stuff, what you're talking about here, about boundaries, holding the boundaries. It for somebody who's been traumatized, particularly as children, boundary
mm.
setting is a really hard thing. It's really hard to do. And so when you realize, okay, hey, for me to be successful and for me
Oh,
to,
sorry,
am I
Mum,
gone?
your microphone went funny for a second for me, but I think it's back to normal now.
Am I back now?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. And so for us to recognize that in ourselves and to um, do that inner work that we need to do to feel that we are worth the boundary that we're putting out there.
Mm.
And then not only to set the boundary, so to know where our boundary is. I mean, that's one step to know where the boundary is. And then to be able to enforce that boundary each time somebody comes and crashes into it.
Mm.
That's another
Mm.
step again. And
And it's
so
so hard. It
it's
can be
really
so hard,
hard.
yeah.
Yeah, because you
Mm.
might love that person, like, because of course it's going to start with the people around us, who are usually the people in our closest circles, who are the people that we're dealing with every day.
Yes.
They're the hardest ones to set boundaries with. I mean, I
I've always
know.
been the opposite.
Yeah, right. Well, not
And
me.
and I think that's my because we always have these superpowers there, right?
Yeah,
So I over boundary sometimes, and so that's probably why the universe gave me someone like Jen.
yeah.
She like had to niggle into my energy. So is when people are learning how to set boundaries, I'm learning how to open my heart.
Hmm.
So it's like a
Yeah.
two-way thing.
Yeah,
So
I'm definitely the opposite. I really, 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 really struggle with setting boundaries, and I have my whole life. And it seems to just keep getting harder the more I do
Yeah,
it.
it does as you
It
get
hasn't
older, it
gotten
gets
easy
harder.
yet. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I
mm,
I do it's so funny because I don't know, I need to do some self-exploring because there is a line for me that no matter who you are, no matter like it doesn't matter. But if there's a point, if someone reaches that point, then I will draw a line
yeah,
and I'll draw
I
it.
can hear it in your voice
Yeah.
right now that
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
you
yeah,
can
line's
yeah.
hear
there.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like because it's happened a couple times.
Mm,
And I'm not afraid to yell at you. I'm not afraid, like I don't care because this power in me knows, right? Like there's no
mm.
like dwelling or cringing at this later for
Yeah.
being angry or setting a boundary because I do cringe at myself a lot for being socially awkward or for setting a boundary I don't want to set. But there's this thing in me, if someone gets to a certain point, I'm like, you deserve this and I need to like fully
Interesting.
draw this. But it has to get to that point a lot of the time. Like I won't I yeah, I feel really awkward setting
So
boundaries and
you need to set a boundary before your boundary. It sounds
yeah.
like. Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you know the one thing that's helped me?
Tell me.
I love psychology. I deeply That's why I love shadow work. I love the layers. And I find what I normally would say to someone is how else can you empower someone without overgiving or oversharing or trying to step in for them? Because if we look at it from a different perspective of our overgiving and our oversharing is actually disempowering the other person. If you can really feel that, then it's like you're able to reframe and have those boundaries. Because if you can actually see that your boundaries actually help people, then there's you can pull back, you can allow them because boundaries actually give people sovereignty. They give
Mm.
people sovereignty over themselves. They give people sovereignty to sit in their shit. But if we are over here, and my biggest thing is I'm a fixer because being someone that leads with like internal intuition, I'm like, oh, I know, but do I know? Like, what am I doing? Like, I've got to step back and just let them be sovereign. And I have to work on that too. So I
Mm.
do overgive in different ways. I feel I do. There is that overgiving in me. I have to be honest in that. I'm not, everyone overgives. I think mine's very like covert though.
Mhm.
Like it's like when you know me, you're like, oh, Jenna's overgiving.
I
Oh, Jenna,
definitely,
that's such a beautiful nugget of wisdom right there. Is
yeah.
like um oversharing or overgiving to that person or trying to fix whatever it is you can see because we can you have a unique perspective when you're not in it, right?
Mm,
um and then that person feels like, oh, she's going to help me, she's like, I'm going to cling to that person because she's so nice. And then you're
Hmm.
like, oh, I've got another monkey on my back. I've got this monkey on my
mm,
back. I don't want this monkey on my back. How am I going to get rid of the monkey now? Because nice people have so many monkeys on their backs.
mm.
And it's because you don't have those boundaries with yourself. You don't,
Yeah.
you know, it's because you're leading with the heart. You're leading with this. I'm a nice person and I'm going to fix everybody's problems.
And I'd
If you've
like to
got that
play
sort of,
devil's advocate there. Like, are you a nice person?
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. Exactly the
Are
point.
you are you doing it from your heart space or are you doing it from wounding?
Or ego, even.
Mm.
You
What are you
I'm the
getting
nice
out of
person.
it?
Mm,
Yeah.
exactly.
Sometimes it's hard to be because boundaries can come across as like you're mean.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is like it's both ways. But when overgiving, and I think it's hard when you're like that open overgiver that like is there for everyone. It's so hard to say it's not from the heart space.
Yeah.
And that is a really hard thing to own when you're healing, that is it from the heart space? Because if it
Mm,
was, wouldn't you be doing what's the fairest and
mm,
stepping back and finding a different way to empower someone? Because we actually enable people. We enable these people because they're like people actually see that they're the crack when they don't realize when you're an overgiver that everyone else is actually your crack.
Mm.
Because if you really think about it, if an overgiver came to someone that had their shit together and didn't constantly seek help, that's just going to be a massive misalignment because the overgiver is actually going to feel how worthless they are. Or, sorry, wrong words, how worthless they feel
yeah.
because they're not feeling needed because that person's sovereign. So then there's the trigger, but then there's like that other side, right, where there's these people that are constantly giving away their power and allowing other people to fix them. So it's like hand in hand. I like seeing it from that way.
Yeah.
That's so many beautiful gems today, Jenna. Thank you so much for giving of yourself this way, because I can't agree more. And this conversation is so beautiful and so needed and juicy and all the good things, because I think this is boundaries and self-worth go hand in hand in my mind.
Oh,
Mm,
yeah.
And yeah, and the wisdom to know your patterns and why you're overgiving,
mm,
why you feel the need to be the nice person all the time, blah 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 blah.
mm,
This stuff is the inner work. This is the shadow work. This is the mirror we hold up to ourselves. And when we
mm,
dig in there and we start to uncover it all and unlayer ourselves and we start to see all the parts, you're
mm,
right. That's when we can start offering of ourselves and start making money out of that,
mm,
the offer of ourselves, you know, and
mm.
it's so important. This is a huge, important part of being successful, I think.
Oh, 100%. Oh, 100. A lot of the work I do with the girls in, my high ticket container is the deep self work. I think people come in thinking they need strategy, where they do. Like I love strategy, but for me, you can sit down in front of me, and because I do a lot of pattern recognition, it's what I tend to fall in. It comes boom, 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 boom. Like that's fine. We can get a strategy. Like yesterday, I sat down with Jen. She's in my container, and we just went boom, 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 done, 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 done. Like, but it's the other work. It's the deeper. It's not even the energetics that every. It's the healing of the layers of yourself where you're able to meet yourself, which is really really important. I
Yeah,
think.
because
Mm,
you are the person walking around making the decisions. So
Mm,
if you're not going to be your own best friend in that
mm,
path, on that path, if you're not going to be able to navigate your heart and yourself in making those decisions, you're going to be encountering the pitfalls each time, the you know, the bump in the road every single time you're going to come up against it. And
mm,
yes.
if you're constantly saying, how come I'm always in this position? How come I'm always ending up in this spot? And you're not willing to go in and do that work and say, well, it's because I can't set that boundary. I'm always inviting the energy vampires in,
mm.
Yep.
and they're always going to end up in my DMs asking me questions for free. They're always going to be looking for my leaky energy. They're going to start, oh, there's a leak there. I'm going to take advantage of that.
Mm.
Yep.
And then you
When
can become a victim of your
Yeah.
own
Oh, I see it
yeah.
all the time, especially with psychics and healers. Like, we've got psychics that charge $5 for readings. Cool, that's whatever. But you're going to attract people that are willing to pay $5 for your time. So who's using who at the end of the day? It's just a frequency. You've got to
Mhm.
learn lessons from somebody.
Yeah.
Exactly. I see it so often with my friends uh who have a very, I mean, to me, a very obvious pattern. And um they're my friend, and I feel like I feel into every friendship relationship I have. Um and sometimes it's just not appropriate for me to point out things that about them
Mm,
because they're not in a place to receive it in any kind of positive way, and I know that they would just be, it's just not my place and it's not the right time kind of thing. um
mm,
but I observe their behavior so often where they're literally creating it so clearly over and over again, the same situation, the same pattern, and um they become a victim of their own, I guess, choices. And
Yeah.
um I just have to step back and you know support them in every way that I can, because I love them and they're my friend and I can help them, so I will. But um there's a point where I just have to not involve myself too much, and
mm.
like have that kind of middle line where I'm still there, I'm still supporting, but I'm not like breaking my back or mixing myself in with the, shit show
Yeah.
that it is.
Mm,
Um, and it's really, I think it's one of the lowest vibrational places is to be a victim of your own um
shame. Mm.
self-fulfilling prophecy. I think that's one of the lowest places that you can be. And I've been there. I think most people have. But um, getting out of victim mentality and, like you said, Mum, kind of viewing and questioning, this keeps happening. Why is this happening? Because at some point, you can't be blaming everybody else because
Mm,
you're going out and finding the same people every single time. That can't be a coincidence.
mm.
So, yeah, questioning these choices and these like patterns that keep coming up instead of, go through your stages of grief, be a victim if you need to be, because there's been many times where I've needed to be a victim for, a
Yeah.
bit and cry,
Yeah.
cry it out. And there's so many times where I know that I'm being a victim, but I don't care and I just let myself cry it out because
Mm,
it's a stage that needs to be expressed. It's emotion that needs to be
mm,
expressed. And I'm a major crier. Like I'm a Pisces. I need to let out my water and I cry it out all the time. And so I just sit there and I just cry and I'm like, honestly, the amount of times I've been like, "Gee, universe, you've done it to me again." And I just I let the anger, I let it all out. And then after it's released, I'm like, okay, right, what's next step? Where do we go from here?
mm.
What pattern is this? I do my shadow work in my journal. I might meditate or talk to someone about it. And I have a big breakthrough and I realize, oh, that's where it's coming from, or this is what it's bringing up that needs to be healed or needs to be seen. And it works every single time I do it. So I'm not saying demonize the victim mentality, but don't stay there is kind of what I'm trying
And
to
I think it's important not to shame ourselves for having feelings too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because feelings are,
Mm,
they're part of being a human being,
Mhm.
and they're communication from our body to our to our heart and mind, right?
yes.
So when we have
Yes.
feelings, it's bringing something up. It's saying, hey, there's something going on for you here. And it's a signpost.
Mm.
So shaming ourselves for having feelings is like a bit of a waste of time, really, because we all have them. You can't get away from it,
Yeah.
Mm,
and blocking our feelings and shaming ourselves, that's a whole other pattern. That's a whole
yeah.
other kettle of fish. You know what I mean? It's just another symptom of something else. So I'm proud of you, Juliet, for having your feelings and allowing yourself to feel them, because you've learned somewhere along the way that you need to have that to be able to move forward.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, my emotions are just so big. I can't hold them
I'm
in.
wondering if you're an emotional authority, are you?
I
In
think
my
she is.
in
Yeah.
my human design, uh, I don't. It's been a while since I looked at it. I remember is that to do with the, you said you were a manifester. Is that the same category?
No.
No,
That's
okay.
your
Because
type.
I know I am a generator manifestor or
Manifesting
something.
generator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
manifesting generator, but I don't remember it off by heart like everything, but I'll have a look. What was it called?
Emotional authority. It's the way that you're describing it sounds like you're someone that has been able to learn how to wave ride, as I like to call it.
Mm,
Because their clarity comes after riding the wave. They have to ride the wave.
mm,
And then they get an immense sense of clarity that's just so crystal clear. Um, and I think
yeah,
that's amazing. It's not easy. I mean, my daughter's an emotional authority. My bestie is, and I look at that and I'm just like, whoo, but it's so powerful.
yeah. I think I probably am, to be honest. It definitely rings a bell, so I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I also I do learn by doing, and I do also learn from hearing other people's stories.
Yeah.
I'm a big listener. I Mum has, like, for example, I'm traveling at the moment, and mum traveled a lot when she was younger, and mum would tell me um stories of, lessons she learned while traveling, and I really have taken that in, and I kind of felt like maybe it's just because mum's a really good storyteller, but felt
Mhm.
like I was so ingrained in her stories that it kind of, I learnt the lesson just from her story, and I genuinely was there with her going along. Was like, yeah, okay, I'm not gonna do that either. So yeah, there's many different ways. I think I'm just very sensitive and very intuitive. So uh I, and I'm
Mm.
yeah, I'm also very scared to make a mistake. So there's that trauma. Yeah.
That is amazing. That's actually a really cool way to put it. You learn through, because one of my biggest superpowers, but also my Achilles heel, is that, and it's probably because I'm a manifestor type as well. I have to learn through doing. Like I have to have the experience, otherwise that strong truth, I can't, like I have to, like it has to be such a truth for me. So I
Mm,
can sit and listen to other people and appreciate them. But it's almost like I have to move through. So I learn a lot through my mistakes,
mm,
and I have to be very vulnerable with that because I am sort of like a bull at a gate. When I know something, I go in and then it will crumble down around me, and then I will learn from that. So no one really, what I'm saying is no one can tell me anything.
mm.
So my parents had fun with me as a child, but it's yeah, I love that, and I like there's times where I'm like I wish that I could just sit and like like learn to sit in the guidance, but when I start to get guided, over guided, I start to feel repressed because as a manifester, I have to follow myself, but I also need to learn that once I get my download, sometimes I do require that guidance to help me. That's where I've got to learn to be
Mm,
more
Yeah.
open.
But
Mm.
I think, Jenna,
I,
in that regard, in one, the person giving the guidance, the person guiding you needs to have your best interests at heart.
mm,
That's the first part of it. Also, you have to have a certain level of respect for the
hmm
person who's guiding you. And also, it's the way in which the information is delivered. Because when I was talking to Juliet, I think my higher self was guiding her in those stories, but I
mm,
wasn't aware of the guidance that I was giving her at the time.
mm.
So I was giving her my experience through a story in well, it was a cautionary tale. Of course it was. It was like, but you take this information and you do what you need to do with it. Like, this is what
Mm.
I went through, and I'm telling you now so that you can have more wisdom for
Yes.
yourself in your life than what I had at the time.
Mm.
And then I left it at that. I didn't tell her how to use that information.
That's how you guide
So
manifestors.
that's
That's how
right.
you, they're very like, we're just, it's, we're the type of, we're the type of people that's like, I really need help. And then someone goes, well, we're like, are you trying to tell me what to do? But I'm really stuck. And this person's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm like the world expert in this and I can show you. And they're like, oh my God, stop telling me what to do. And then everyone's
Yeah.
like, you just said you need help. We're like, yeah, we're really lost right now. It's like, oh my gosh. It's hard to. I always call Jen, though, the manifestor whisperer because she seems to attract a lot of manifestors, but she's just got that space where we, with this big energy, feel we can mount around her.
Yeah.
And
Because she doesn't
she,
require anything from you.
no. So we can sort of like let our guard down and then she will guide us and then we go on our little merry way. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's something but that's just, I think this is the reason why the way that I coach and I heal is through sovereignty
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
through
So
helping
important.
women find sovereignty.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's
important, because I
beautiful.
think a lot of women are raised to think, I've got to be there for everybody else.
Mm,
Yeah.
My job in this world is to make sure that my family is okay, and I'm last on the list, right? We're born
Mm.
into this world with that legacy as a woman. So
Yes.
unraveling that comes from, like, you're teaching people, you're unraveling teachings from people who've learnt it as babies, as children,
Yes.
because they've
yeah.
seen
Yeah.
their mothers do it and their grandmothers did it and their great grandmothers did it.
Mm.
So it's like we're unpicking that web. And what beautiful work, Jenna. What beautiful work that is, because women just naturally, when we unpick that for them, they have a sense of selflessness already. So when
Mm.
we empower them, when we empower that part of the world
Mm.
to rise up and to put the balance between what they need and what the world needs, oh, that's like, I'm getting
Yeah.
goosebumps thinking about it, because we're already selfless beings.
Mm-hmm.
So to
And
empower that is like gold.
Yeah.
oh, it's the woman in my containers, they're doing amazing. Like I had one woman, she came in, no social media, none. She didn't have a social media. She didn't have nothing. Literally just walked into my container and said, I'm ready. She, in 6 weeks, built so much authority. Her posts on social media are going viral. Her first masterclass was extremely successful. Her calendar's booked out, and we're now moving on to the next step. It's just, and it's just everyone's different, but it's just through that I sit them down and I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, who are you? Let's go there. And that's where it
Mm.
starts. That's normally when you first sit down, you get into the container. I do an onboarding call that goes for like 5 hours. And the first thing I will ask them is like, who are you? And then we just go from there. And then that's how I build people's businesses out is through them. And then when they're talking about it online and they're really like like the fierceness comes out of them because they're like, I am so passionate about this. This is what I'm here for, and it just comes out and people are resonating with it. It's just really beautiful. Like the girls are having 6K paydays, fucking massive transformations, and I know I just sit back and I'm like, fuck yeah. Like when you see like your purpose unraveling and these women are like just in their sovereignty, like finding in their own way too, their confidence and their authority in their own unique way, not mine, theirs. It's so
Yes.
beautiful to see. And then they have their purpose, they found their sovereignty, and then they can help their people in the way that it's just like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And it's oh,
Mm.
it's just I get so yummy.
It is. Wow. Well,
Mm,
I we've come to an hour, and I feel like that is the perfect place to kind of conclude
Mm,
because what a beautiful way to end it.
mm,
We would love to have you on the show again, Jenna. And yeah, your work, everything that you do is so needed in the world.
mm.
And
Yeah.
thank you so much for being you and doing it and doing the shit and helping other women doing the shit too.
mm.
So you're amazing. And I've, yeah, we've just received so much. I know
Yeah,
I
we
have.
have. Thank you, Jenna.
And I'm like
Yeah.
putting the intention out now when I go to sleep that it just integrates into my body,
Mm.
everything. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, this is beautiful. And I've, you know, I've like learned all the lessons, integrated all the information, and I'm gonna wake up tomorrow feeling amazing and refreshed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Beautiful.
thank you
Thanks,
so
Jenna.
much.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really
Ah,
was. Well, thank you everybody for watching, and we will see you next week. All
bye.
right. Bye bye.